Back on Forex Chasers YouTube channel. Lovely to have you guys here. You guys know that we always provide you guys with value added content. Now, as today's video title suggests, we're going to be getting into how to evolve with the market structure. Now, I'm going to show you guys some trades that we were able to capitalize on AUD USD by evolving with the nature of price action. But before we get into the actual chart, I'm going to show you guys theoretically what we mean by evolving with structure. So I'm going to explain to you guys basically the trades that we were able to capitalize, but just in the theoretical way. So to begin things off with AUD USD, guys, all evolving with structure entails is that we need to look at two different things. First of all, we need to look at higher time frame structure to get an idea of what higher time frame structure is doing, and then we need to drop down on our smaller time frames, and within our higher time frame structure we isolate small pieces of structure to begin seeing where our trading opportunities might present themselves. So that's all evolving entails. Evolving entails looking at your higher time frames, analyzing your higher time frames, and then dropping down on your smaller time frames to isolate smaller pieces of structure. Now let's get into AUD USD and explain to you guys how we were able to still evolve with structure on AU and still be able to capitalize on opportunities, even though structure has been showing us other types of structures. So guys, to begin things off, this is the first time AUD USD kind of gave us some nonsense. So basically how we were able to still capitalize on AUD USD was from isolating our structure. So if we look at this, guys, if we don't see what happened on the left hand side, we can clearly see that this is an inverse head and shoulders, and after an inverse head and shoulders, guys, we are expecting prices to basically push to the upside. Now obviously in hindsight it's clear to see that obviously prices broke to the downside, but how is someone able to capitalize on an opportunity like this when prices are showing something and then doing the opposite? Now all we did, guys, was we looked at our higher time frame structure. Now higher time frame structure, guys, gave us a clear head and shoulders structure, which gave us an indication that prices might break lower than these previous lows that we do see here as the neckline of our head and shoulders. So all we did, guys, was we looked at the nature of our impulsive phase. Now, first of all, we were able to capitalize on a small impulse move over here. We saw this impulse. We isolated the small structure, identified it as a corrective structure from this impulse here. And also we had confluence of prices breaking back within structure and then retesting previous structure for a move to the upside. So that was well and behold, we managed to capitalize on that, but we can see that prices further broke down. Now, how were we able to shift and adapt to the current market structure? All we saw was prices breaking, closing below. Once we saw prices breaking and closing below these previous areas of support, all we did, guys, was we looked at the nature of this move. We isolated this piece of information that the market has given us, and we identified this as a new impulsive move to the downside, violating lower structure as we pushed to the downside. So how we were actually able to capitalize on this opportunity was to identify on those smaller time frames. Remember, we use the higher time frame, then we drop down onto the smaller time frames, we isolate our structure, and then we find a trading opportunity from the structure that we've isolated. So guys, if we had dropped down onto the 1 minute, we've already identified an impulsive move to the downside, and now it's obviously a lot more clear that we can already see this corrective structure. This corrective structure, guys, did give us one violation of a high, basically gave us the two violations of the highs that we look for. We see a first violation to the upside, we see a new high being created, and then this new high basically violates the previous higher structure. Once we see prices violating structural highs, then we know that we're probably going to move to the downside. All we had to do was just set a sell order below these previous lows that were tested, expecting this impulsive move to continue to the downside, obviously targeting a minimum risk to reward ratio of 1:3 on our smaller time frame. Let's just get that short position. Our entry was here. Stop loss was directly above these previous structural highs over there. Targeting a minimum risk to reward ratio of 1:3. Now I think we refined this entry because I remember we were able to capitalize on a 1:3 within this move to the downside. So I think we probably refined our entry somewhere on the smaller time frames. Nonetheless, guys, we were still able to capitalize on a move to the downside in a market that we were expecting to move to the upside. All we did was we isolated small pieces of structure to get new information from the market. Now we further went on, guys. Now we can see that prices gave us a new head and shoulders or inverse head and shoulders structure after we've broken lower. Now we looked at obviously the higher time frame. We saw this corrective structure to the downside. We then isolated our structure further, identifying an impulsive move to the upside, followed by a corrective structure that formed over here. And this corrective structure gave us such a beautiful entry, guys. And obviously we always look to get in at a key area and then get out at a key area. I think we managed to buy this somewhere in these areas here. Stop losses were below the level of structure, new level of structure that was created, and we were targeting these previous higher structures over here. So obviously we use our higher time frame for confluence, and then we basically just wait after we've isolated our structure and waited for things to develop. Now even further, guys, we were able to capitalize on so many different moves on AUDUSD just by isolating the structure. Now we also further identified, we expected that since prices have touched these previous resistance areas, we were expecting a move to the downside to retest these previous support areas over here. All we identified, and this analysis is still on our chart, the most recent trade that we actually did take, all we identified here on AU was just we simply isolated our structure, identified this correction to the upside, identified that we had basically a violation of higher structure. We just drew in our high over there. We can see that the structure was violated to the upside, very small, but nonetheless that is still a violation of a structural high. And then we see a market impulsing to the downside, breaking lower structure. Now obviously if we look at this right now, we can see that we're in a range. Markets are now ranging on AUDUSD, but still by isolating and evolving with the structure, we are still able to capitalize on individual moves within this corrective structure. Now, simply put, we have a double top structure here. Obviously, we take our trade at the bearish engulfing candlestick, which is obviously our momentum shift, our stop loss above structural highs, and then obviously targeting a minimum risk to reward ratio of 1:3. 1:3 was met somewhere here at these structural lows here, but nonetheless we were targeting obviously an area of support, these previous areas of support that we denoted over here. These were our ultimate targets, and we can see prices just came to tap into those areas after playing around with our emotions, pushing back to the upside, making sure that anyone that can't hold these types of trades is out of the market. The market always does stuff like that. And guys, nonetheless, with this opportunity, we were able to capitalize on a beautiful trade, beautiful continuation to the downside on AUDUSD within a ranging market. And that is basically the power of evolving with the structure. Even if you have a bias, we still look at the structures that the market is giving us, the information that the market is giving us. We're watching how the market is violating highs, how the market is violating lower structure. Are we violating nice and impulsively? Are we violating these previous areas correctively to the upside? Guys, all of that is giving us information on how we can isolate structure and still be able to capitalize on a move that could have still potentially bounced to the upside, because remember, on those higher time frames we did violate this corrective structure nice and impulsively, so possible upside continuation was there. But because we are looking at the individual nature of the market on our higher time frames and on those lower time frames, we are still able to capitalize on a move. Now guys, I hope you really enjoyed the session. I'm gonna let Finalizing take over, let him give you his take on how he evolves with the market structure. I'll see you guys in the next video. This was Tremaine. Let's give Finalizing an opportunity to provide you guys with some value added content.
What up, guys? What up, guys? What up, guys? It's your boy Fanaki Mamba. You already know, guys. So, you already know, guys. Today's topic, one of the most important topic that you'll ever find, which talks about overview with the market structure. So here I have USD, I have dollar, yen, which I'm gonna be teaching you or showing you how to evolve with what with the latest or the current price market. So you can literally see here that we have what we have some sort of a double top formation that has been formed. You can see that we have what you can see that we have this first peak here, and then we have this second peak here. If you can just check, we didn't really literally come to test what we didn't really literally come to test this areas here, but you can literally see that we are so close to testing. So now you can see that. Let me just click on the replay button for me, and then put it somewhere here. So now you can see, guys, that we have this current structure. We're looking at market coming into these areas here. So this is the structure that we have now. So we have this structure, as you can see, some sort of an ascending type pattern. So remember, guys, when you're throwing your trend line, you've got to be as accurate as you possibly can. Get to be accurate as you possibly can. So you can literally see, guys, that we have this ascending type structure here. As a whole, you can see we are at the hotspot area for us. This is our hotspot for us. You can see that, guys, we can have two possibilities that price can literally push and come to these areas, or can come to this double top and then start to drop. So now what I'm gonna do, guys, I'm just gonna click on the replay button so that you can see how the price moves, pushing all the way to the downside. That is the thought process or the focus before the market can literally be even doing anything. So I can just now play the replay button so you can see the price is indeed shooting to the downside. But now, as you can see, guys, that today's topic is more of about evolving with what with market structure instead of trying to focus the market. But now we want to evolve with what with market structure. So you can see that now market is forming what is forming continuation pattern. So what I'd really like to do, I would want to turn this, just move this trend line back. So now you can see that I'm drawing another trend line now. So you can see that, guys, we are looking at the nature of the market. Let me just draw this trend line as well. You can see, guys, that we are looking at the nature of the market as well. You can see that we have what we have this push to the downside and we're forming this continuation pattern, and then more chances that we're going to continue pushing to the downside. Let me just change the color. More chances that we're going to continue pushing to the downside, or probabilities that we're going to continue pushing to the downside a bit more high. But now let's see how the market plays out, because of, remember, as much as we have more probabilities of price pushing to the downside, it can still come for this double top, because remember, it didn't touch here and then continue pushing all the way to the downside. So let me just click on the continue replay button. Let me just click on the play button so you can see that now price is playing. Let me just speed it a bit more. You can see that price now is playing here. It's now forming some sort of a consolidation. Let me just adjust my trend line here as we move along. So you can literally see, guys, that this is what the current price of what of market. So now what I'm gonna literally do, I'm just gonna expand my channel. So as you can see, guys, here, what I'm trying to do here, I'm trying to evolve with the current market structure, because of now this is the piece of price action that is more, this is a piece of price action that okay, I'm just trying to get my marking. This is a piece of price action that is more relevant now, because of this is what is happening at the current price. So what you can literally see here, we can literally see price pushing all the way to the upside and then continuing to push to the downside. But then again, it can still, the price can still do what the price can still, guys, the price can still push to the upside, break and come for this area here. So what are we gonna do now? We need to evolve with our structure, because of now this structure is no longer irrelevant for us, because of it has been evaluated. So what you can literally do now, just gonna expand our channel now. You can literally see that this is how I'm just gonna try to make my graph as accurate as possible. So I'm just gonna try and make this. You can see that now. What is that we have now? On pound dollar, we have some sort of an expanding type pattern which can be possibly come for this touch here. And if you can just check here, we have this what we have this ascending descending type pattern. Unit increases more chances of price pushing a bit more to the upside, making this touch probably coming and playing and then continuing to push all the way to the downside. So you can literally see, guys, that this is also a possible scenario for itself to present itself. So this is the master of what, of knowing when to evolve with what, with the price of with the current price of market, instead of us being stuck with what, instead of us being stuck with this current price action, which has been a bit far from price. You can see that this is no longer too much valuable to us. This is what is more important to us now, because of, remember, all the time the market is always doing what, the market is always changing and evolving. So we need to be able to evolve with what, with the kind of structure of what, of price action. So excuse me. So now what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna basically go to USD franc as well. So here again, we're gonna be discussing about the evolving of the market. I just want to take it even more further. So guys, here you can literally see that we have what, we have this some sort of descending type pattern. Okay, yes, we have this some sort of descending type pattern, as you can see, guys. But now we can literally see that we have this expanding what, we have this descending type pattern, I mean to say. So what I can literally do, guys, I can literally draw my trend line. I can literally draw my trend line here, and then draw my trend line below as well. So now you can see that we have what, we have our trend line here. Okay, for the at the first time, you can literally draw your trend line like this. You can literally draw your trend line like this. So now we have something like this. Let me just get my replay button. You have something like this. So now we can see that this is our one of our reversal opportunities. We expect price to do what? We expect price to continue pushing to the upside once it shows us our reversal, what, our reversal pattern. And if I can just put in the mark here, you can clearly see that we've got the math psychology. We've got people on the wrong side of the market, because of, we know that the more price break the price or key important key area in a form of an ascending type pattern, we know that most likely it's gonna reverse and shoot to the downside, to the upside, because of, we understand that this is just market trying to trap and catch people in the wrong side of what, of the market. So what I'm gonna do, guys, here, I'm just gonna click on the replay button. So you're just gonna see. So now you can see that the market is moving. So what we need to do, we need to evolve our structure. So now we are evolving our structure. You can literally see that we have this touch and we have this touch again. So now, but now it's still skeptical for us to take this trend, because of, you can see the nature of market is pushing to the downside and forming what, a continuation pattern. So this can literally continue to push to the downside. So for us to be taking this trade is going to be a bit risky. So you can see that now we're forming an expanding type of continuation pattern form. So for us to still applying a bit of more patience in this case, because of, you can still market doing what, doing this expanding pattern before it shoots all the way to the upside. So we want to see the outcome or the full structure of the pattern before we can literally do anything. So now you can literally see that as the market is continuing, this structure for us is no longer much relevant for us. Now we want to focus on what is the price currently doing now. So as you can see that now price is currently forming what, this extended pattern. So what I can literally do, I can just literally take this trend line and put it here. So you can see, guys, that what I'm basically doing here, I'm evolving with what, with the kind of structure of market. You can literally see that now we've moved from this side of things. This is still a trend line below here. We've moved because of, we got an expanding type of pattern, you can see here, and then we evolved from it. We move because of, now we want to focus even further more to what is happening currently now. So you can literally see, guys, that now we've evolved to this expanding type pattern. This is one of the most important things for us, not to be entitled to, okay, we're looking for buying opportunities, that buy opportunity didn't come and then we are wrong. But instead of that, what is that we do? We try by all means to always evolve and be updated with what, with the current structure or the recent market structure. So now you can literally see that price has formed what, has formed this form of expanding descending type pattern, and you can literally see that what is that we have first touch here, we have second touch here. So we might be possibly looking forward for this third touch here, probably breaking below before we should. So what is that is going to be happening? We are catching traders in the wrong side of what, of the market, before we can see what, before we can see price eventually shooting all the way to the downside. So what I'm basically going to do, I'm just going to move this one back, so you can see that now we've got this small expanding pattern inside what, inside this big what, big pattern. So this was it, guys, about expanding. This is the most important thing that you need to know about evolving with the market strikes. It's going to help you to be able to evolve and change with the market as the market evolves and changes, instead of you being entitled to say, if maybe for dollar Swiss franc you're looking for buying, if the market keeps on just shooting to the downside, you're going to be feeling so depressed and feeling like you are a loser because of now the market didn't do what you want. But instead of you being depressed and all that, you can literally just evolve with the market and see what the market is trying to do, and then react to whatever that the market is trying to do. So I hope, guys, you found this I hope you found this lesson very, very useful. It's me, your boy, Fanlati Mamba. You already know. Let there be peace in the Middle East. Let our brothers and sisters be safe. Guys, I'm out of the building. I'm out of the building. Don't forget to click the subscribe button. Don't forget to click the share button, and also share, like, comment, everything, guys, that we feel like is necessary to be done. Just do it, guys. It's me. I'm out. Have a nice weekend, guys. We out of the building.